Hi guys, it's Steffi from the Novelty Corner and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm here with a monthly recommendations video. Monthly Recommendations is a Goodreads group and I will leave a link to it down below. Every month they have a different topic and you recommend books based on that theme, which I think is always a great way to find new books. This month's topic is Binge-Worthy series and I have pulled 8 off my shelf that I absolutely love and wanted to share with you, so let's dive straight into it. These series are in no particular order, they just happen to be what they are sitting in piles next to me. The first series will be no surprise to anyone who's been watching any of my wrap-ups for the last couple of months, and that is the Guild Hunter series by Nalini Singh. This is a paranormal romance series and I absolutely adore it. I happen to own 4 of the books in physical copy, but the rest I have on my Kindle. These are the latest 4 in the series. The 5th book is coming out at the end of October, I believe, so I'm very excited about that. They are set in sort of an urban fantasy world where humans and vampires live alongside angels, and the archangels are the most powerful beings on the planet and basically run business and society. The vampires are strongly linked to the archangels and the humans sort of just go about doing their business, and the archangels employ guild hunters who are humans with the ability and skills to track down vampires who have gone rogue, and one of those guild hunters, Elena, crosses paths with Raphael, who is the Archangel of New York and one of the most powerful archangels in the world. It starts off with a working relationship that then grows into a romance series, and then of course as the books progress we get to meet other characters and develop other relationships. It's a really fun, very easy to read series, and it's just, I'd say guilty pleasure, except I actually just enjoy reading them and I don't feel guilty about it at all. Next up is the sci-fi novella series, The Murderbot Diaries, starting with All Systems Red, Artificial Condition, and Rogue Protocol. This is a really entertaining series. It tells the story of a artificially intelligent android who works in security and is assigned to protect humans, except this particular android, who has nicknamed itself Murderbot, has its own personality and has hacked its own system and can basically do what it wants, but it actually chooses to continue to do its job. And yet it keeps finding itself drawn into these situations where it has to work with humans who it actually really does not like very much at all. And yet it does. And it has all this really dry, sarcastic humor laced through it, and there's lots of adventure. So yes, it is a great series and I'm really enjoying reading it. Continuing with some science fiction, The Illuminae Files by Amy Kaufman and Jay Kristoff. And if you haven't read this yet, I don't know why you haven't picked it up unless you're really, really not a sci-fi person, but this series is just so fun and engaging. Everyone pretty much knows about it by now. It is a sweeping space opera young adult series told in a very different format. It is told through multimedia logs and illustrations and IM messages, and it follows a group of teenagers who get caught up in a war that they never should have been, but because there are big corporations at play, they don't really take into account the fact that there are these other people, and these kids take on this role of fighting back and they do it in the most amazing way. All of the characters are really interesting, really engaging. They're all very smart, they're all very intelligent. The series has one of my favorite characters in a book of all time, Aiden, who is the artificial intelligence aboard one of the ships in Illuminae, and then we get to see him throughout the other books as well, and he's just spectacular. So I really, really enjoy this series, and if you haven't checked it out, definitely do, and the audiobooks are fantastic as well. Next up is the Every series by Ellie Marnie. So Every Breath, Every Word, Every Move, and then the sort of spin-off story is No Limits. The Every series follows Rachel Watts and James Mycroft, who are neighbours and basically take on the roles of Sherlock Holmes and Watson. They're 2 teenagers who get caught up in a lot of crimes that are happening around them. They are very, very smart, very intelligent. The romance that develops between the 2 of them is really, really good. Ellie Marnie is fantastic at that. The spin-off No Limits follows Harris Derwent, who is one of the characters that we meet throughout the series, and it's his homecoming and how he fits back into his hometown, and it's quite a dark read. So the young adult series is dark, but it's not so dark that you can't read it. No Limits can be quite confronting about what it is like to be living in a small town in country Australia, but the whole thing is just so readable, so engaging, and they're some of my favorite books to read. The next series, I didn't pull all the books off because there's like 11 plus extra books, and that is the Skullduggery Pleasant series by Derek Landy. It's a middle grade fantasy series and I absolutely adore it. So that's the first book. That's the most recent book, and they are just witty and entertaining and full of adventure and magic. It is the story of Valkyrie Kane, who is a teenage girl, and her adventures with Skullduggery Pleasant, who is a skeleton detective, and he introduces her to this magical world, and it is just so entertaining, and I cannot wait to share these with kids at school. Another young adult series is the Madoran Chronicles. So that is Akane, Raylia, Dracora, Greyvale, and We Three Heroes. I'm getting all my names mixed up. And this is a young adult fantasy series. It reads a little on the younger side until you get to sort of some of the later books where it sort of picks up into slightly more complex themes, but it is very easy to read. It is the story of Alexandra Jennings, who finds a door to another world, to Medora, and there she finds herself swept up into a new adventure where she is accepted into Akane, which is a school for people with magical abilities or gifts, and she makes 3 friends there, DC, Jordan, and Bear, and this is all of their adventures as they try and fight off a rising enemy for Medora that is threatening war, and it's just so easy to read, so enjoyable. Highly recommend it. You know, for someone who doesn't read a lot of fantasy books, I'm sure recommending a lot of fantasy series, but this one is the His Dark Material series, which probably needs no introduction. It is just a wonderful series. The first book is Northern Lights, The Subtle Knife, and then The Amber Spyglass. It is just stunning. It is the story of Lyra, who is a young girl living in this world that's like Earth but is not quite, and there are a whole lot of factions. There is a religious group that controls most of society, and then there are people who are investigating this mysterious phenomenon, dust. Lyra gets caught up in all of this discovery, and then as the books progress, there is the ability to actually move between various worlds and parallel Earths, and the adventures that Lyra and her companions have are just amazing, and it's just absolutely gorgeous. And I'm so glad I reread this year because it's just reminded me how much I enjoy these books. And finally, it would not be a recommendations video if I didn't recommend some Matthew Riley. So this is the Jack West Jr. series, starting with 7 Ancient Wonders, 6 Sacred Stones, the 5 Greatest Warriors, and the 4 Legendary Kingdoms. This series is not complete yet. The 5th book is actually coming out in a month or 2, and I'm really excited about it. So I'll probably have to binge read this series to refresh my brain before I pick that one up. But it is the story of Jack West Jr., who is a former Australian soldier, and he sort of gets swept up in a whole lot of random adventures that are very high adrenaline. He has a wonderful team of people around him. It's just a really fantastic series, and if I tried to explain it, I think I would actually ruin the series. So I'm not going to say much more about it than that, but it is very fast paced. There's a high body count in this series. I love it, and I love Matthew Riley's books. So any of his series I find binge worthy, but I thought I would pick this one out because it has a special place in my heart. So those are my binge worthy series recommendations. Have you read any of them? Let me know in the comments. Otherwise, let me know what is your favorite binge worthy series to read. I hope that wherever you're in the world, you are having a wonderful day, and I'll catch you guys in my next video. Thanks so much for watching. Bye guys.